mouth because he tells it just like it is.
The word on the street.
Here's what's popping.
Here's what's popping, people. My name is Dogface Calderon. This is Dogface TV podcast, live on everything. Every superhero needs fucking superhero theme music. I have my own. I suggest you get your own. Hey, we're back. We're back. We're back. We're back. We always listen. I want to shout out Hollywood Wade because Hollywood Wade came on the YouTube streets with a big fucking gun the other day. Wasn't afraid. He didn't bring any help with him. He didn't bring the gang with him. He came and he stood tall like a fucking man. And for that, we can appreciate him. We had a beautiful conversation. It was packed and chock full of information. It was chock full of facts. Whether you agreed or disagreed, we don't give a fuck whether you agree or not. We're not here to try to sway you from right to left. We're just here to present information as we see it. You don't agree with it, that's cool. We're not going to kill anybody about it. We're not going to cuss anybody out about not agreeing with us for any particular thing. Hey, listen, you believe what you want to believe. You take from the conversation what you take from it, and you make your own. You make your own fucking mind up about this shit. It is what it is. I want to welcome Hollywood Wade back of the Crime and Entertainment Podcast. I have Miss Khita Bush in the building. That girl Henny, Uncle Juice, aka the Beat Factory, and I have everybody's favorite villain from Baltimore to fucking upstate New York. We have Eon Williams in the building. I'm Dogface Calderon. Nobody likes me, but hey, who cares?
Salute, man. Appreciate the love.
Who cares? Sean G just tapped in. Sean G, what's the word with you, brother? Sean G of the Podcast with Soul podcast. He just tapped in. He's here. Hey, let's get right into it. So we had a conversation. Let's pick up where we left off with Hollywood Wade a couple of days ago. Was it yesterday or day before yesterday?
Day before.
Yeah, day before yesterday. So we Hollywood Wade. Let's just go right into it. We're gonna go right into. You had some questions and you had some things you want to bring up. And then we have a couple of, I want to ask you first before we do that. No, I will let you get off first. You come in and then we'll follow up what you got to do. Because I have questions for you, Wade.
Okay. So first off, I want to jump off on what DC had, his theory of what could have happened of why Suarez was set up in the beginning with Cuffy. And DC, if I remember correctly, you said that, we all agreed that he met Suarez while he was in jail. And
That's what I believe.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's documented. I think that's where they met while they were in jail. So that's reason to believe that. And you said that it's possible that he could have been of the mindset, well, we'll give him this person and, possibly he gets deported. Nobody really even knows that I set him up, and it could substantiate a time cut. Now that I've had time to think that, because originally it was a good thought process. And now that I've had time to sit back and think about it, I pick things apart. I like to try to anyway, which is what everybody should do. So in saying that, number one, why I don't know if Suarez will be of the level to get Meech a time cut. Okay. And I say that because the deal that he got caught with, if I'm not mistaken, was a 2 kilo deal. Now, while 2 keys might be big to some people on the streets, that's not a significant amount of product. I think everybody here would agree with that. In the grand scheme of things, that's not a significant deal. Then you have him at his own transaction. He's driving. If you're a big guy that's going to be worthy of giving Meech a time cut, you're not going to be sitting there at the transaction. You're going to be somewhere in a penthouse drinking a margarita, whatever you're drinking, and you got people under you that's going to handle all that situation. So just the fact that he was there, hands, boots on the ground with it on that low of an exchange, to me, it wouldn't justify, even if, and I'm quoting ifs because I'm not saying Meech asked for this, but even if he did, it doesn't seem like to me that would even be enough to give Meech a time cut. Because I think we can all agree, me and Dogface was in the comment section on the earlier video, whether you put Meech on a pedestal for what he did or whatever, even though I know it was a bad thing, depending on how you look at it, you can't erase what he did in history. Like what he did, what he accomplished, what he put together, the impact he made on, the history of of the drug dealing game and hip hop for that matter. You can't erase what he did. So in order to be able to get a time cut for somebody of that stature, you got to be giving up somebody huge. And I just don't think Suarez is that guy that could justify a time cut. So that's the first thing I want to jump off of. And I want to get your opinion on it back to me.
I bet. Hey, this ain't really like a nitpicky thing. I just want to ask you two things like I asked you last night about the third party joint. But let me ask a little bit more specific, right? Have you ever read a case where someone got a time cut?
Yes.
In that case, what kind of case was it?
Fraud case where the guy was in for fraud and then he wound up telling on another. You talking about just by a third party or just a regular time cut period?
Just time cut. I want to keep it simple.
Okay. So the guy was arrested for fraud, mortgage fraud. He got 26 years.
No, you had fraud. You don't got to go into it. Okay. But when he got the time cut, what happened? Like how much time?
I was going to say he was inside. He met a guy that done a Ponzi scheme. He admitted to him that he hid some money, and it really wasn't a substantial amount of money. It was only $200,000. He told his lawyer contacted whoever she contacted, and he got about 10 years knocked off, I think, for that.
Okay, that's what I was asking. How much time he got knocked off? Now that's in that one case, and that's a fraud case. So let me just break it down a little bit more specifically. Have you read any cases where drug dealers or drug traffickers got time cuts?
Not in detail.
All right, let me say this. I've read over 100 of them, okay? And then I'm not saying this to say that I'm better than you. I'm trying to say that I've read over 100 of them, and I've read cooperation for as small as 2 ounces, and I've read cooperation as high as 1,000 keys. Now, I know you say that ain't enough. I mean, that's not big as we was talking about because the guy was talking about metric tons. But in all of those cases, I'm only going to talk about Dexter Hubbard, the one I brought up the other day out of the Northern District of Georgia. He had 292 months. He had third-party cooperation by his wife. This was not the only time he did it. He did it over and over and over again, like Allen Iverson. He shot the ball 60 times and scored 30, okay? But the one case that made it to the appeals court, the U.S. Attorney's Office only offered him 2 months, offered 292 months, right? And the judge said, no, I'm gonna give you 24 months. And he filed an appeal to take it down further than that. And that's just one, right? Now, for a big case, I know you say that the person is not big enough for me. I don't believe that the person has to be big enough if you're working your time off. I can tell you that there are 4 or 5 cases where big guys turn in the guys under them to get 60 months off, to get 7 months off. So I dig that you saying you don't think that, but I got to remind you that that's only your opinion, and I got case law to back up that from 2 months to 20 years to time served, right? Rayful Edmond had a life sentence out of the District of Columbia. I know I told this story before, but I just want to double down on it. He got a life sentence out of the District of Columbia. He went away to prison just like Meech. Did the same thing Meech did. Set up deals, set up people too. I ain't gonna put that part on Meech. Got cracked doing it, right? Got another 2 life sentences. He cooperated on the first one, gave his mother the benefit. That's a Rule 35. So for everybody say you can't get a Rule 35, this happened 5 or 6 years later. You could get a Rule 35. I don't need to go back into that argument. But after he gave his mother the benefit, he went on a cooperation spree for 14 years. Everyone he told on was under him, and he got time reduction after time reduction after time reduction until he got out. So does that kind of, from me to you, show you that Rayful Edmond is the biggest drug dealer rat in the federal government history? I'm talking about together. I ain't gonna say he the biggest drug dealer, but he's definitely the biggest rat. 111 convictions, 340 indictments. Ain't nobody. I mean, 111 indictments, 340 convictions. It's not an informant that got no numbers like that. Like he got a plaque on the rat wall. But he did it for 14 years is what I'm telling you, Wade. And I don't believe that Meech is above doing that. And I don't believe that Suarez would have been as small for that particular bust that you mentioned, because that's only the bust that got him to jail. If they could have busted him with 2,500 keys and another connection, that would have been worth at least a year cut. It would have been worth at least 2 months like Dexter Hubbard, which I got the case law for. I'm going to stop there.
So, I mean, and that's very valid in what you're saying. It's hard for me to wrap my mind around a guy that ate a 30-year sentence with his brother to do that, to get two months off or a year off.
Let me chime in.
Don't lock in on 2 months or a year.
Yeah, I'm just saying for reference. Yeah.
But let me be specific. If he would have came home after Dion Gatlin was convicted, he would have came home at 13 or 14. That would have been that would have been less than 10 years on an 848 kingpin charge. That would have been Guinness Book World Record shit. On an 848, they already gave him a blessing for the 30 year, and they never indicted him. No, my bad. They never charged him with the Texas case or the Daniel Corral case. Like, bruh, he got a lot of favors. He's in Dion Gatlin's joint, unindicted co-conspirator, and he's in the Daniel Corral case as a co-defendant. Like, we do agree that that's totally different than unindicted co-conspirator, right?
Yes.
He's a co-defendant in the case. Where did his time go for that?
But ain't I correct that didn't Daniel rat on him too?
Oh, we can do that, but that's what most rats say. Oh, he telling on me, so let me address it from the beginning. He ratted on him before, and then they did business together again, and then they ratted again as co-defendants.
Okay.
But in the Daniel Corral case that I got the case number for, how can we say he ratted on him, which he did? If you cooperate with the government, you're a rat to me. I don't give all this leeway to Odie. Daniel Corral is a government cooperating informant, and I just read the case before we got on here where he said that he was cooperating in multiple districts. But my point is that in the process of him ratting on him, let's use the word you use, right? He ratted on him about drug dealing conspiracies that occurred in 2007. Meech was incarcerated. That's a new charge. That's a new indictment. That's a new conspiracy in a new courtroom. What happened to Meech? Why did he walk away? I mean, since I'm gonna give you the cooperation thing, how does he get out the next conspiracy? With over 3,000 recorded calls, and they popped the girl getting the money from Atlanta to St. Louis. Like, that's red-handed, right? That's one of them jokes you're supposed to plead guilty to, as they say in the federal court.
Yeah, there's a lot to this case, especially going back. You see, I kind of come in on the ass end of it with Pete when we were focusing on the most current alleged.
Hey, Hollywood Wade. Hey, I don't mean to cut you off, brother.
Yeah.
However, DC Blacks, Eon just dropped science on you, brother.
Oh,
so,
yeah. That's why I like conversating with him.
So listen, the first thing people say, oh, Daniel ratted on Meech. Daniel ratted on Meech about a drug conspiracy case that took place almost 2 years after Meech was incarcerated for drug trafficking, for drug conspiracy. So my question to you is, what was the disposition? Meech was cited. He was an indicted co-conspirator with Mr. Corrales. Where is the disposition of what happened with Big Meech as it relates to that case with the rat Corrales? What happened to it? It just went away.
We don't know.
That's a good question. We don't know.
Not yet.
When you get up here, you call that motherfucking Pete. You tell Pete next time bring his ass.
Hey, the reason why Pete can't come, he wants to come, but the reason why Pete can't come is he can't be on these types of podcasts.
So listen,
that's why.
You tell Pete that the YouTube streets from DC to Yonkers to Texas, we waiting on that ass, Pete. We wait. Hey, listen, I know he's gonna see this. We waiting on yo ass, Mr. Peter.
and he's coming. But another thing too, though, DC,
come on.
With these, what your thought process and what my thought process is of what happened with Suarez. We agree to disagree, however you want to look at it. There's still got to be the process of it going from Tammy, or him setting us up through Tammy, her telling Cromer taking it to the Michigan, U.S. in Detroit, U.S. Attorney's Office in Detroit. Them agreeing, and then the judge also agreeing. So there's a lot of steps that had to go through, which I don't think went through. And the reason I think that is because of this. So it's documented that y'all reading these transcripts that Cromer reached out to Tammy. And like we said the other day, hey, we seen the work you did with Harvey. You come work for us. We going to target Mexican Americans for source countries. So we all think we all agree that's going after cartel members. So the point I'm making here with this is if Cromer reached out to her, I just don't think he did. That's me. I'm commenting that. If Cromer reached out to Tammy first, then that's saying one thing that she wasn't expecting that call. It wasn't like Meech told her, hey, go out here, contact this guy and set all this up. Cromer reached out to Tammy. All right. She lays out the plan. Well, what am I going to do? You're going to target Mexican Americans with source countries. Okay. I'm going to get paid. What about Meech? What if I can get my boy a time cut? And then he says, we'll have to see about that. So at that point, like we discussed in the previous episode, he cannot make that deal. He can say, we'll try. He can make the deal for money, but he can say, we'll try. So whether he did or he didn't take it back to the U.S. Attorney's Office in Detroit and even ask, I don't know. He probably did. They probably said, who's he going to give? That's the first thing they're going to ask is, who's he going to give up? And I don't know what he would say, but either way, we know that didn't happen, or at least I believe it didn't happen.
Let me take a stab at that.
Because when it comes back, it wasn't a third party with Meech because she got paid. When she got paid, then it's a first party.
Let me take a stab at that. Let me take a stab at the first part of what you said. All right. Yeah. So your question, the first part of your question is, I don't believe that Cromer would have did reach out to her or would have reached out to her. Why would he have reached out to her? Keith Cromer was working. He was based out of the Atlanta DEA office. Mm-hmm. Under the watchful eye of Jack Harvey, who was then one of the lead DEA agents operating out of the Atlanta field office, Tammy Collins served up on a silver platter a drug dealer. It was one of the fastest convictions in the history of federal jurisprudence in the metropolitan Atlanta area. She served him up. He got arrested today and was in jail tomorrow.
Yeah.
He's a gold star fucking rat. So it stands to reason that, don't forget, Keith Cromer took over for Jack Harvey. So, of course, Jack Harvey would have briefed Keith Cromer, the person who's taking his place, on all active investigations. He would have briefed him on all active CIs, confidential witnesses, confidential informants. So once Jack Harvey explained to him the value and how much work and how proficient she was, it stands to reason that that Keith Cromer would have reached out to this high-powered gold star fucking rat.
Yeah,
well,
let
me just interject for a second. She was handed over to him from Jack Harvey. When he retired, she then went to Cromer. And then from there, he knew about, he knew about how valuable she was because, like you said, Jack Harvey then told Cromer all the work that she had done, yada, 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 yada. So that's when they joined. So it wasn't a matter of him reaching out to her. It was a matter of her being passed on and Cromer becoming her handler.
Okay, so the information that I got was when Harvey retired, he gave her the $55,000 after the Terry White investigation was concluded, and he went to jail. She didn't even technically ask for anything beforehand, but he paid her the $55,000, and then he considered her closed as the CI for that situation. Then when he retired, then Cromer reached out. So you're saying you have conflicting information that she was never closed out.
I don't know where you got that from because in the testament, and go ahead. You're muted. Go ahead, DC.
My bad. I think you be getting tripped up on the word reached out. She was in an office, the same office she debriefed in prior to. He walked in the office according to the transcript, and introductions was made there and at a bar and somewhere else outside. But this discussion about how she would be compensated happened inside a DEA office. Like, I don't know what you mean by reached out. She came in to do her regular debriefing, and this conversation came up.
Well, I think I know where he's saying the reached out part comes from is because he emailed her and she met up with him. But at that point, she was passed on from Harvey to Cromer. So Harvey had passed on information to him according to the transcripts. He knew how valuable she was to the DEA. So he picked her up. That became her handler at that time. And she was off and running to the races.
Okay. So do we all agree that at that point, if she said, what about getting my boy Meech a time cut? Are we all in agreement that at that point we know that Cromer did not have the ability to do that?
Nah, I don't agree with that at all. I actually feel like for real, you interjecting your opinion in it because DEA agents and FBI agents are the first agents that present the cooperation to you. And the next play is to go to the U.S. Attorney's Office. He told her at a later time when she bought that third-party cooperation ship in Florida that no, we not doing it. Like this dude that took it out of context and say, no, we don't do it here. He was telling her as, no, this situation, and I'm using the word verbatim. He said, this situation is so convoluted. We're not doing it with them. So he is the quarterback of any cooperation. And we have to start there. She ain't going to be able to get to the U.S. attorney without him saying that it's the deal. I disagree with you that he can't do it. He can't file the motion because the motion got to come from the U.S. attorney, but he can tell her that this the play we running.
Oh, yeah. He can say that. He can pitch it. Yeah. He can definitely pitch it. But I'm saying for it to get stamped and done and set in motion.
But that's for even successful ones, though, Wade. Even the ones that are successful. Like we saying this one was successful. But let me reiterate to you my point. I never said he got the cooperation on the third. I said he attempted it. And my thing to you, even in private, is when did Meech know she was an informant? In my world, you're going to die just for fucking with an informant. You get what I'm saying?
And we
discussed with an informant and set up people through the informant. So I know that the narrative of what we're talking with now is that I want to stay on that. But I'm saying for me to you, I never said that they were successful. I said he introduced this man to an informant and this man is arrested for that. But back to what our conversation is, I do believe that the motherfucking third party cooperation starts with the DEA agent or the FBI agent that the informant is dealing with. That's what I believe.
Before we continue, Hollywood Way, I want to introduce you to Miss Khita Bush. Miss Khita Bush and her ex-husband, right? She just was released from federal custody not too long ago after serving 10 years in prison. Her husband, I believe, is still in prison. They operated one of the most successful third-party cooperation firms in the great state of fucking Texas, where in which they had employees who were informants on payroll. They made millions of dollars off of providing information to people who were incarcerated, primarily in federal custody, that those people didn't use that information to get their sentences reduced in some form, shape, or fashion. Ms. Bush, Mr. Wade.
Hey, it's a pleasure to meet you. He mentioned you on the last episode a little bit about your story. I'd love to have you on to dive into that, because when I first heard that was an actual thing, it kind of blew me away. And when he told me that that's what you and your husband was into, I definitely love to have you on.
Okay, well, maybe we can talk about that. But as the situation goes with Meech, I haven't read into his case or his paperwork. My stance on the whole situation is, when we're talking about the DEA speaking with Ms. Collins and basically saying, not saying okay, but not saying no, that's because that's the way that they work. Like, I've actually made phone calls to DEA agents and started just giving a name, and all of a sudden, hold on one second, because the name is so big. Hold on 1 second. Next thing you know, I'm on the phone with the United States attorney. So, I mean, it depends on how they want to do it. I've called attorneys and spoke to attorneys on behalf of clients who were incarcerated, who wanted some relief on their sentence. And sometimes these guys are incarcerated for some time before they decide that, hey, I want to work with the government. And when it comes to my ex, so I'm thinking that basically that's the way that he came up with this third party cooperation firm, was because he was an informant with the federal government, with the DEA for some time. And he did one night in jail. In Texas, they will tell you that he had a deal that nobody ever got. The work was that good. And he took down little fish to big sharks to get that. And he did it in a matter of less than 2 years.
And I'd like to elaborate on that. See, they don't have to start off with a real big fish to give you no time cut. The feds don't have no problem with working their way up the chain of command.
They'll take 5 little fish.
And with somebody with a big fish like Meech willing to cooperate, they'll start him off small because they know he don't want to start off right at the top and give up his sources to be exposed as being a rat. So yeah, he try to start off little himself because he don't really want to do that, but he want to get out. So yeah, he start off giving off people that he don't know, people that ain't that big to him that he wasn't dealing with direct, to add it on up to get him some official time cuts in. You feel me?
Yeah.
Not saying he did. You feel me? I'm just saying. You gotta look at the circumstance. It's a lot of things that it's coincidental that he played a part in. That's like the person that busted him off the drill, that put him in jail. It's the person that Tammy was working for. That's just a coincidence. Suarez and them is a coincidence. The guys that Tammy set up before is all coincidence. It's just too many coincidences. And like you said yourself, if that was the mob, they'd rather clean it up than keep taking these coincidences. You feel me?
If you were a member of the Gambino crime family, I'm gonna put your ass on the spot, Mr. Hollywood Wade. Right? Listen, if you were a member of the Gambino or the Lucchese or the Bonanno, which one you want? Take your pick.
Genovese.
You want? Oh, the Genovese. So you a gangster. I get it. You want to go. You fuck the Bananos. Fuck the Gambino. He want to go to the top of Wade. You a bad motherfucker. Hey, Mr. Wade.
I take that back. Let me retract. Go with Colombo because if anybody know Joe Colombo in here, heard the name Joe Colombo. I actually spent the night in Joe Colombo's house in upstate New York when I interviewed his son, Chris Colombo, who's an absolute gentleman. So shout out to Chris Colombo.
Shout out to the
Colombos.
Oh, listen. So you are I don't know if what they call this a Moulinan. I don't know if it's what they call a moolie. I don't know if a moolie can do this, but this moolie here, I'm a bad man with this motherfucking mic. So this moolie is going to make you an honorary member of the Colombo crime family. Now, I'm going to, as you're an honorary member, right? You have been, they set the car on fire.
You've been made.
Right?
Yeah.
So listen, if one of your, let's say you're a capo.
A friend of yours.
This thing of ours. No shade. This thing of ours. You are part of this thing of ours. Now, if one of your underlings had came to you and said, hey, boss of all bosses, Hollywood Colombo, the person who you're dealing with, this moolie, Demetrius, here are all the facts that we have to look at right here. And they presented the Corrales thing with no disposition. There's no end point. They present to you all this shit with Cuffy. They present to you the fact that this motherfucker is not the brightest tool in the shed to begin with, right? If they lay out everything that we have laid out to you over the last 2 sessions that we have had the conversation with you, and you are in a position to protect the interests of the Colombo crime family and the interests of the greater fucking mafia. We can't say mafia because you ain't supposed to say that. You would get whacked for saying mafia. But if your job was to protect the interests of the whole as the representative of the Colombo crime organization, if you had these facts that we have introduced to you, what would be, and you were in charge and it was your play, your call, what would happen to Demetrius Flannery under your fucking command?
Well, not the facts, just the speculations, because we ain't got it in black and white, but the speculations of it.
So there's a couple different ways you can answer that, and I don't want to get into the politics of the mob, but like depending on his level or involvement, a lot of times if you're going to 86 somebody, that's got to be run up the ladder to the commission.
No, it was on you. You.
But I'm saying hypothetically it wouldn't just be on me.
I got you, but listen, this moolie is not a made man. He's a moolie. So you ain't got to run shit up the commission. You only have to run up the hierarchy of the commission if he's a made man. He's not a made man, and he's black.
I would definitely stop dealing with him. That's a definite. That's 100%.
Really? Just off of all these insignificant ass facts that we're introducing, you would start dealing with somebody who can move tens of, if not thousands of kilograms monthly for you?
Yes, 100%. Until things come out.
Hey, listen, I think I would be a better member of the Colombo crime family than you, because if a motherfucker tell me all this shit and I brought it, hold on, wait. I take that back. I don't want to be rude, right? Let's just say you are the one who brought Meech into the circle. Even though he's not a made man, you brought him in. And now the onus and the responsibility of what he does or doesn't do what he is or what he isn't doing is on your shoulders, what would you do?
At that point, it would be on me. Yeah, I said at that point, it would be on me.
What would you do?
I got to get more information before I make a play like that.
Hey, but dog face for real, you know.
Let me tell you what would happen to him. Listen, and if I was with you and I was a part of the Columbos too, this all you would fucking hear. This all you would fucking hear. Do you hear me? That's all you would fucking hear, Wade.
Okay, now hypothetically, what if you did that and then it came out
we can find another nigga to move dope, just like the cartel say. We can find another nigga to move our dope, just like the cartel say. They don't give a fuck about giving nobody up because they can always find another willing, cooperating ass nigga to serve this dude G. You know what? Dude G. God damn it, he gotta go. I'm not gonna risk my life when I've been presented with all these facts about all these maybes and hypotheticals and this mooly. It's not, if I go to him, he tell me I ain't gotta tell you shit. Who are you? I'm him. You'll be an unalived son of a bitch. And you willing to put your life, Hollywood Wade, on the line when you've been presented with all this evidence where there's smoke. There's fire. They taught you that in the 3rd grade.
I'm still not 100% convinced, though.
You ain't got to be. Hey, listen, watch this and let somebody else take over. The mafia and how they moved from coast to coast, there have been many of men who've been walked into a room and didn't walk out.
100%.
Because of what a motherfucker thought, absent any really serviceable, tangible fucking proof. But you know why? Because I'm not willing as a made man. If I brought you into my inner circle and I'm responsible for you, if that happens, brother, I'm not finna put my neck. Sean G is in the building. The podcast with Soul, the homie of all homies is in the building. I would not put my life online for you when I've been presented with all this evidence that says that you might be a problem. I'm gonna X6 your ass.
If we talking in that respect, though, I'm dead anyway.
Hey, listen.
You look at the movie Donnie Brasco, right?
Yes.
They brought Donnie Brasco in, Lefty. I forgot his name in the movie. But they killed everybody. They would have killed Lefty if he didn't go to prison. They killed Sonny Black and Napolitano.
But the point,
they killed Sonny Black. So even if I said, "Yo, this guy's doing this," and I take him out, I'm still probably gonna get killed.
Hey, listen, but I
brought him around.
You just took it. You just walked around the corner when we ain't going around the corner yet. We talked about. So listen, if I come to you and I tell you, hey, if I present the case about Meech to you, right, long before it even gets to the upper bosses, the other capos, and you have an opportunity to clean this fucking potential mess up, would you clean it up based on what information that you have received right so far?
Well, you got to understand, it's chess to this now.
Oh,
if
no,
you take him out, then it's going to create issues of why you took him out. It's going to bring heat to you. And then if you are wrong, you're going to get more heat.
Have you ever watched, what's the show with Forrest Whitaker? The story
Godfather Harlem.
Do you know the story of Madam Sinclair?
Yes.
You know the story of Bumpy Johnson?
Yeah, Bumpy's is from Charleston, where I'm from.
Okay, so listen. I need you to give me a straightforward answer respectfully. If the facts that we are presenting to you, or if we don't even gonna call them facts, if the allegations that we are talking about right now, if I came to you as a high-ranking member of the Colombo crime family, and I said, hey, listen, Wade, this is what I discovered about your man, the Mooly Demetrius. Right? Here's the information that I'm gathering. Here's what my sources are telling me about this guy. You brought him into the family. You're going to be held responsible for him. What do you want us to do? Because at this point, he ain't told on nobody close to us yet. Right? I'm your underboss. What would you tell me to do to Mr. Demetrius?
You don't want to
With
get
knowing
this
this,
video demonetized.
Sorry, I don't want to. This gonna be a sound bite. This is a fucking sound bite. What say you? What you gonna tell me to do as your underboss?
Take care of the problem.
You mother.
Check this out. It's what the streets want to know.
Hell yeah.
That real, that raw.
The drug so powerful it will make you sell the clothes off your back.
It's straight drop, baby.
Yeah, baby.
From the people you want to hear it from. It's time to let the dog off the leash.
Run, Chico, run. Chico, no.
It's unleashed, reloaded.
And that's what I would do to him for you, boss. Boss of all bosses. I would eat this spaghetti and I would shoot that son bitch in his motherfucking cranium. And hope to God that your boss don't find out that we ever let this fucking spick mooly into the fucking mob.
Hey, Chris, what's going on, man? What's going on, everybody, man? Shout out to everybody, man. What's DC Black? What's up, man?
Welcome to the fold, Son G. We have Hollywood Wade of the Crime and Entertainment Podcast. We have Khita Bush, who her husband ran a successful.
I heard all that. Shout out to everybody, man. Why y'all running down on Wade so tough, man?
Oh, we ain't running down on Wade. We having an ambitious conversation here amongst men who are not offended or who are not sensitive.
Shout out to DC Blacks, man. Shout out to you too, Chris, man. You're doing great work, man.
What say you about this whole mess?
What do y'all want to talk about? You know,
my question to you is this. I'm gonna put a question to you. Let's just say we were a part of Bumpy Johnson's organization.
No, I don't want to get into the speculation, Chris. But let's deal with the actual court documents, man. I don't want to talk about Godfather Part 1.
Hey, let's deal with the court documents.
Let's deal with the court documents. I'm not into the sound effects and all of it.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead. Go get it. Go ahead.
G, can I ask you this? All right.
Absolutely. And DC Blacks, man, I think you're doing a great job, man. You're doing a great job explaining everything, man.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Same with you. But let me ask you a question based on the court documents, but also using our cultural background, right? If you was jamming, would you do business with him? Based on the court documents.
With Meech?
Yeah. Would you take a load from Meech if you was in that business?
I'm not talking to Meech. Me and Meech not doing push-ups on the compound. We're not playing chess on the compound. With the compound that I was on, once you find out it's that, I'm not sitting next to you in the TV room. I'm not talking to you because prison is such that it's so gossipy that if a nigga see you talking to a hot nigga from across the yard, they automatically assume that you agree with what he. No, we're not doing nothing. We're not doing nothing. Nothing.
Can I interject for a second, please? Because this has been my point that I have been trying to make out here with everybody. Y'all can debate the paperwork all you want to, but everything that we're talking about right now is the moral, the principle, and the rules, codes, and ethics of this lifestyle. This is not opinion. People want to say this is opinion. This is not opinion. You do not put yourself in a situation where you are in close proximity of anyone that has this type of smut on them. You do not give a person with this kind of smut that much access to you or your legacy. And everyone keeps overlooking all of this stuff is side-eye worthy, where this is basically what's being said. Everyone up here is in one accord that this is all side-eye worthy behavior, even if you don't want to hear it. Oh, I don't see it in the paperwork. Everyone up here just spoke to a code, a rule.
that he is familiar with, Henny, that he knows.
Yeah, exactly. And when
That he
people
knows.
say that doesn't matter, it does. When you
It
are a
does matter.
person that's in the streets at the level that he was, you cannot ignore that, no matter how much you try.
So let me answer this real quick.
DC Blacks, what about you? Same question to you. What you asked me? Is he in your workout car? Are you doing burpees with him in rec?
And the word is absolutely no. I mean, I could get to talking jazzy, but you know what I mean. I ain't messing with him. But instead of me talking jazzy, let me say that the Federal Bureau of Prisons took the threat serious. They locked him down during the time that this was going on. So they even felt like something was up.
You.
I read
Nobody's
that.
talking about that.
I read that. Dogface, what about you? Are you playing casino with him? Are you doing a push-up routine with him in the unit?
I just did an interview with, I was a member of the Nation of Islam. I was one of the rebels. I was one of the ones who didn't follow his orders and instructions. I got suspended from the Nation of Islam on several occasions, and the person who was the person in the higher command of me in St. Louis on level 4 yard, where niggas was getting killed and drowned in the toilet, and they drowned in a toilet in a cell. Listen, I would have stabbed him in his motherfucking face.
Listen, they told me when I got to Morgantown, and I know people talk a lot of shit about Morgantown. It's now a camp now, but when I was there, it was an FCI. But what they told me is that you can't even go to the bubble by yourself and talk to a CO by yourself. You have to bring somebody with you so they can hear the conversation. So when y'all leave the CO, the niggas gonna run and say, what did they talk about? Because if you talking to the CO by yourself, they don't know what you're saying. This nigga got extra bell pepper. He got 3 extra pillows. He got a phone. You know, so this is what they told me.
So that's a fact.
I got one question for y'all, and I'm curious to how y'all feel, because we don't really dive into this too much, right? So the consensus of most people, and I agree, why is Meech, who he was, his reputation, dealing with Tammy Collins, with her doing what she's doing, getting all these people jammed up? That's what a lot of the
let's go around. Let's go around. Hey, Juice, you start with that. Answer that question, Juice.
Oh, hold on, that ain't the main question.
Oh, okay, you get 2.
The point is, if everybody's agreeing with that, how do we look at it now that 50 is dealing with her? Because if you're going to say that's a business move, which is understandable, you might have to look at it the same way with Meech, because if he signed all his life rights to her,
hey, listen,
he's got no way to get them back.
Watch this. Listen. I have to start, Juice, and then in Black culture, bro, we don't separate mandarin oranges from Florida oranges, bro. We don't separate tomato from tomato. And Black culture, see, a lot of this shit is being examined from people who are not a part of and don't understand how we get down. Listen, the Selenos in Southern California, they don't believe that it's ratting for a cartel member or for an affiliate to give up a nigga. They don't see nothing wrong with that. As long as you don't tell on somebody inside their inner sanctum, they're cool with that. They can give up niggas, because you can always find another nigga to do your dirty dealing.
They just don't give up their own people.
So Black people, we're the ones hollering about rat, rule, code, because we know the Italians were some of the biggest rats in the history of the underworld criminal element. When you look at and examine what they did with Bumpy Johnson and Madam Sinclair up there in Harlem, when they couldn't outshoot them, when they couldn't out-murder them, they used the police, their judges, and their prosecutors to send Madam Sinclair to jail for policy making. So Black people are the ones standing on the code where it's white or black, it's blue, it's up or down, it's left or right. When you examine this, you have to examine it from the lens of somebody who's a part of the culture. Not saying that you, because you're not a part of the culture, that you can't give your opinion, but you do have to lend some credence to how we look at it, because he's a part of our thing. This thing of ours, from a Black perspective, he rocking with us. And so therefore, we the ones who call the shots on this. Y'all deal with them goddamn goombas.
I don't know if I agree with you on that, Chris. I got to do some pushback.
You ain't got to agree. Just state your opinion. You ain't got to agree with me. State your opinion.
Well, you know, it was a lot of white boys, them white boys that's in the feds that's got them tats all on the neck, and you can look at them and tell that they don't play the radio. You know, there is a code in the federal system, I think, that permeate. It's not even a race thing. It's just, you know what I'm saying? If a motherfucker ain't writing exact, they just not writing exact. From what I seen, you know, I don't think it comes down to you know, a nigga thing, or you know.
Hey, I have to interrupt you, brother, because I'm not talking about from a federal jurisprudence vantage point. I'm talking about from the culture. Our culture we ain't just niggas in prison. I'm talking about black culture as a whole. We have our own set of standards and morals and values, as even the worst of us who operate in the mud of our our culture, we still have our own standards. And there's no code on paper that is more stricter than the code that we hold ourselves to. The Italians will rat on niggas without no compulsion. The Mexicans in Southern California will rat and give niggas up without thinking fucking twice, because as long as it ain't them, they don't give a fuck. Black people, we are the ones holding motherfuckers' feet to the fire more than anybody else on paper. If not in the reality, on paper, we know that we can't say we agree with no rat shit.
Well, I think you, me, DC Blacks, I don't know about Juice if he's done time before. You got a whole generation.
Juice got locked up when Jesus was walking the earth and didn't come home until Muhammad got here.
And then the young lady that just got out the feds, you know, there's a whole generation of 17-year-olds and 20-year-olds, foundational Black Americans, that don't see no problem with ratting. Yeah. That don't, which is why they still cheer for my man. You know,
I mean,
but
some of them even debate what is ratting.
Exactly. But to you, Chris, to me, to DC Blacks, to the young lady that just came home, and the Juice, and to niggas that have been in that world, it's not even a discussion for us, man. It's not even a discussion.
You got that evident when Tekashi 6ix9ine got out after ratting on all them people, putting all them people in jail, and what he goes on live, and you got 2 million people in his damn live on Instagram.
You can look at Gunna. Look at Gunna.
It's being switched now that shit's popular.
Right. But those 2 million people are not people like me.
Oh no, yeah, I agree with that.
We are the small, we are probably 1%ers when it comes to anybody that even cares about a code.
Yeah,
right.
That's the problem with that code.
Listen, Meech's legacy is not even over in pop culture. It's over in the subculture. Well, it's questioned in the subculture. It ain't over until we find out if Tammy got recordings of them conspiring to do this together. Until then, he got wiggle room. But amongst men, amongst dudes that's still getting money, amongst dudes that's still in that lifestyle, he is guilty of introducing Tammy to Dion Gatlin, bro. Like, I don't care if we talk about the Genoveses, the Pennaveses, the Zulus. He is guilty of introducing this man to somebody that eventually got him locked up.
And then DC Blacks, you don't even reach out after Cuffy gets busted and is trying to get in touch with you. You don't reach out and say, yo, man, I can't rap too much. You all right? Is your daughter all right? Your mom, I'm finna send something to you. He don't do none of that, man.
I meant to point that out right there. Wade made a comment last night, which he represented a lot of people that feels this way. Let me address what you said and then go back to what you said, Wade. And I don't mean to sound ignorant or shallow for the people that's watching, but I'm representing the criminal mindset. I've been a defender with a life sentence. When my man say he's sending me an affidavit to say that we were not involved in no criminal activity, I don't care what type of federal scrutiny comes with it. I'm responding by lawyer. And if there's anything in the affidavit that may incriminate me after I read it myself, I'm gonna say, let's take that out. But if I put myself and my man in Cuffy situation, Cuffy my man, and I introduce Cuffy to Tammy, when the affidavit come my way, I'm signing anything to say, yo, I ain't say nothing about no drug dealing. I don't know nothing about this, and any information in here is incorrect. He ain't have to come in there and say that none of this is true. And that's representing from a gangster perspective. And if he did that, he wouldn't be in question in jail, Wade. If he did what you said you wouldn't do, I understand you speaking from your perspective. But for me to speak from the men that have been in one of them, and I've been in penitentiaries, and Sean G know what I'm talking about. I've been in Leavenworth, I've been in Colorado, I've been in Lee County, I've been in Lawton. Like, you die for this shit here. For speculation, Wade. But but he could have killed speculation and all of this if he would have responded to the affidavit, not responded to participation or anything that's going to make him culpable of a crime. The Frank's motion is a motion that they're giving to be able to prove that something is inaccurate, false, or lying in a thing. That's all he had to do. And that's what a gangster's supposed to do. If we argue that he's not a gangster and he's a hustler, he's still a street guy, and he got to represent that.
Not just that, he was the middleman for any of them meeting each other. So no matter if he knew that they was gonna do some illegal things, once somebody showed that they was displeased with their introduction to who he turned them on to, he supposed to correct that. That's the rules, ain't them unspoken rules. If I put you with somebody and you say, hey, Sean G called me, say, hey, Juice, man, you put me with Dogface and I ain't like how that went. I'm gonna say, hold on, Sean G, let me hit Dogface. What was the problem? Let me get with Dogface and see that, hey, dog, that was my man, Sean G. I put you what I told you you won't. I'm gonna make sure Sean G is satisfied. You feel me? It ain't up
to clear my name, to clear my name, Juice, to clear my name, to clear my name, to clear my name.
That I wasn't with that.
You gotta clear your name. You gotta clear your name.
Let me defend Wade's position real quick, and Wade, correct me if I'm wrong. I believe you speaking from a perspective. I believe that you are speaking from a perspective of a person that's not my man, not my friend. It ain't death before the sun. I ain't down with you. I believe you speaking from a position that he's not my man. I don't know him. Like, would you do that to your comrade from the dirt that you done ate in his house and slept in his house and ate his mama's food? Would you not answer the affidavit, Wade? Your friend, not Cuffy, but your closest friend.
I definitely think there's a way he could have gotten some sort of correspondence that wouldn't have jammed him up.
Well, you know what? I'm going to talk about the insult to injury, because when that 42 Doug's call came out, he said he don't owe nobody shit.
And he do. And he did wrong.
In everybody's face, because you know what? Take it a step further. Let's go a step further. I said this before. With Tammy being the nucleus of his communications with everybody, he put his whole network of people at risk for her to pick and choose who she gonna serve up to the DEA. She put them all at risk when her phone had a tap on it, for them all to get jammed up on something. So for you to say you don't owe nobody shit, that's basically sticking your middle finger and your ass up to everybody who's been standing beside you. And you can't say that he didn't know, because word travels very quickly through them jails about what she was doing. And you were told, and your people getting jammed up. Nisa came out and said she almost got her locked up for lying on her. Blue says he told you. You getting word of what she's doing, and you still working with her, but you don't owe nobody shit. How about you do? You owe a lot of people. You don't owe the general public. You owe a lot of people.
Does anybody on here believe that Meech was not aware of the Terry White case, when now 1090 Jake done ran a video where he went back and found footage of it on the Atlanta News, which proves my point? Does anybody believe that he was not aware of who Terry White was when Terry White caught the last case?
Man, I just want to ask. He knew who he was.
Okay. Because a lot of people that was trolling me, they didn't know.
By show of hands, if you believe that Big Meech did not know or was not aware of what Tammy Collins was doing, raise your hand if you believe that he didn't know anything about Tammy Collins.
At that time. Because if he knew she was a rat at that time, would you say, wait?
At what time specifically? Because I got some information that he gave her those life rights before the situation happened with the guy that she turned to Terry White.
All right, but I don't know that. I ain't gonna dispute that. But to answer your question specifically, I'm asking anybody, do anybody believe that during the Terry White takedown and he was big shit in Atlanta, do anybody believe that he was not aware of at least Terry White and what was going on?
I'm going to go a step further. There's no way you were at his level and didn't even know Terry White on the outside before any of this happened, because all hustlers, dealers, gangsters, if you in the streets, everybody know everybody. And the weight that Terry White was moving, there's no way that Meech didn't know who he was, and there's no way he didn't find out what happened to him.
Miss Khita Bush, I need you to chime in here, ma'am.
Okay. I mean, I believe that he knew. I mean, I've told you that I spoke to so many guys who were incarcerated that y'all just wouldn't believe it. Like, he is no way he didn't know. Like, what do you gain from being even affiliated with this lady, period, even after you knew what she was and who she was?
You know what's crazy? When they're cross-examining, when Welby is cross-examining Jack Harvey in 2016, Jack Harvey on the stand says, they still remain in steady contact, talking about Meech in 2016.
Not just hold up. Let me add something to that. Not only is that questionable, but it's questionable that after Jack Harvey has retired, he is still a mentor to Tammy. She called him when she couldn't trust no other agents. Like that, bro. They as a family of rats, bro. They all friends, man. I don't give a nobody.
But he knew she was not to be trusted because he was writing down notes on everything that she said. So he was able to pull out that notebook and go back to everything she told him.
If Meech knew Tammy was an informant and did everything that we saying that she doing, he extra wrong for introducing them to Cuffy. I ain't looking for a 35 or 5K1. Like I'm saying with two. I'm really not just talking to you, Wade, but my whole issue been he knew what she was and he dealt with it, and I believe he's under the psychosis that these guys are out here under, saying it won't happen to me. I'm Big Meech, she won't dare. Well, she did, and she did it twice. She did it to him in this paperwork and expose him, and now she coming back for pop culture to expose him again. He deserved everything she's doing to him, even if he didn't cooperate.
So you're saying regardless whether he said, hey, set this deal up for Suarez and Cuffy so I can get
if he knew she was an informant.
If she was an informant. So regardless if it was set this up so I can make some paper while I'm locked away, or if he really did know what was going on and he said, set this up for a time cut, either way, he's still wrong for bringing Cuffy to her.
Whoa, can I answer that?
Hold on. How did she get with Harvey? Ain't nobody looked at that. Harvey the one that locked Meech up.
She went to Harvey.
She got the Harvey from another informant that she was friends with that had his number in his goddamn phone on speed dial.
Yeah.
And did they reveal who that?
I don't hang out with no bunch of informants, even though I ain't in the streets and I ain't gonna say I'm gonna do this to you. Bruh, an informant can't stiff on me because he can't get on the field with me.
Facts.
So did they reveal
who that
informant was? Did they reveal who that informant was that turned her on?
I haven't discovered who that was. And even when Jack Harvey talked about it all the way in 16, he wouldn't mention it by name. They keep saying friend or associate. We don't know who that is.
Well,
that's
they labeled him as an ex-con.
Right.
They did, right. But I still couldn't. I haven't been able to zero in on his ass.
Right. Jack Harvey
becomes now, is this somebody that Jack Harvey locked up already? How was she connected to
or cooperated? Because remember this, Terry White learned to be a cooperator so well. It's in the transcripts. I'm sure Sean G's read it. After his first arrest, when he finally became a cooperator, he began cooperating from the contact with the officer. The judge or the prosecutor even asked, so you were negotiating your own cooperation rights? He said, yes, I knew. I knew the officer would not take the handcuffs off unless I was going to do this and that. And I told him unless he was going to take the handcuffs off, I was not cooperating. He knew how to cooperate technically at the time. And this is about nine. This probably was about the 2009 one or the
after
me. Don't quote me on that. When I go back and get it for you, he got 3 cases. He didn't turn cooperator into the second case.
This is the weed case. This is the weed case to talk about.
He would not talk until the police took the handcuffs off. He knew how important he was as an informant.
And he also had worked with that prosecutor before. That prosecutor is who he snitched to before. So when the agent told him, he spoke to the prosecutor and he knew that was the prosecutor on the case, he made that phone call to Mexico.
Was all this after Meech was locked up?
No, this is before Meech. No, this is before Meech. These two cases we talk about is before Meech.
The first time the first time he got locked up and cooperated was before Meech, but this time that we talking about with him and the agent was after in 2009.
Right, that's a not right. Exactly. Yeah. And one of the main recordings, I don't know who noticed, so I know I'm repeating it, but one of the main recordings that was used against Terry White was recorded on Tammy's cell phone while on the way to visit Meech.
Go visit Meech. Yep.
That's what she did. She recorded a lot of it with phones.
Yeah, but one was on the way to visit Meech. We still
Terry White in the car. With Terry White in the car.
The phone upside down like this.
Do they all know each other? Like he was in the car with her. So this is not for you, Wade. This is a rhetorical question, but for anybody. Do anybody believe that Terry White was getting all this money, knew how to move away from the city, and he drove in a car with her and he didn't know where he was going? When they pulled up at this prison in some remote place, he still ain't know where he was at because I don't believe he went in. But he drove, even if he just drove her to the hotel,
where he was
Terry White ain't know where he was going. He trusted enough. She prompted him to talking about drug dealing during the ride to prison to visit Demetrius Flannery. At every turn, he is involved with a rat coming in, with a potential rat, revisiting the rat, going back to a rat that told on him, giving the rat, doing another deal with the rat. He deal with rats. So with the 2005 Meech, fuck with the 2025 Meech, they would be in bed together, no homo.
I have a question.
Hey, Dogface, I'm about to have to drop out of here real quick.
No, before you go. If you were jamming, like they say in DC, right? If you was jamming, and if you had a shipment of, if you had 10,000 kilograms of pure Colombian flake, would you, based on what you know right now, fact, not fact, truth, not truth, based on what you know right now, would you sell 1,000 of those 10,000 kilograms to Demetrius Flannery?
2025 Meech?
Yes.
No. But you got to understand, you asked me these questions and I'm giving you my honest answers.
You answered the question. You answered the question.
But now,
I know your point is still and ain't no proof that he cooperated. I'm gonna give you that.
Right. And my point as a journalist is different from my point of somebody in the streets just trying to make money with him. My point as a journalist is I'm trying to get facts stone cold that he did it. I have my opinions, I have my theories. It don't mean I'm right. It don't mean anybody else is wrong or right.
And listen, you send Pete a message for the YouTube streets. We can't wait till he get off federal papers so we can get his ass up here. You tell, hey, Pete, I know you watching this, Pete. Wherever you at with that little cell phone with your little calculating motherfucker, you calculating that motherfucker. We can't wait to see your ass, Pete.
Tell Pete he can come on here. We ain't on papers. Ain't nobody on papers no more.
No, but it's still an affiliation with us criminal ass niggas.
Oh, okay.
See, he started a podcast with another guy who was a former felon, and then he about got jammed up for it. So he had to figure out another way to do it. So,
I got you.
I beat my case so he could come on with me.
Yeah, well, we appreciate you for tapping in, Wade, man. Have a good day. Anytime you want to come back, we
gotta get together too, Wade.
Yes, sir. I'm gonna try to link up with all y'all, man. We'll do something for sure. I love this type of conversation.
Yeah. We ain't double team you, did you? Because you know the audience be on our ass. Did we make you feel uncomfortable, Wade? Did the black?
Yeah, y'all double teamed him. Y'all ran down on him. I'm gonna answer that for him. Y'all ran down on him.
But like I put it like this: you asking me questions that I got to answer from a lot of different sides. As a journalist, I'm gonna have a different answer as opposed to if I'm a mob guy or a street guy.
Yeah,
there's all different answers.
We're all journalists. We're all operating in the auspices of journalism here.
Yeah,
right?
But a journalist ain't gonna do all them sound effects you was doing in real life. You ain't got no journalists offering nobody.
Girl, bye.
This is new age journalism. This ain't your granddaddy CNN. This ain't your granddaddy Channel 7. This the YouTube motherfucking streets. Thank you, brother.
I'll be good, man. Appreciate y'all.
Appreciate you, Hollywood.
Yeah, appreciate y'all. Sean G, Khita Bush, Sean G, Miss Khita Bush, as you already probably aware, her ex-husband operated a third-party cooperation firm in which they made millions of dollars, providing information to people who were incarcerated, from gangbangers to drug traffickers, in an attempt to use that information to get themselves out of jail long before they guys have been in prison 10, 15 years trying to get out by giving information to the DEA so the DEA can make cases and then backhand give them credit for it without them even being in paper.
Yeah, I heard your introduction of her, man. That blows my mind, man. I must be just a fucking corny, lame nigga, just straight up and down follow the rules, because I can't even fathom somebody would even do something like that, man.
Well, my ex did, and
I heard
that I'm thinking that he started this whole third-party cooperation firm that he had based off with the government and what he had learned from working with the government.
Yeah.
What's most shocking is though how the government had these informers would leave us with this content to create, because certain people looking for specifics and paperwork, and we very well know, us that's been incarcerated know all rats ain't gonna be in the paperwork. The feds got up on when the inmate comes to the Fed joint, he got to show his paperwork and all that, and the guys go be on him. So what they start doing is giving out fake paperwork as well as just keeping their names out the paperwork. So it depends on the level
and banning certain paperwork.
Right.
Certain paperwork can't even bring in the institution because someone was hurt behind it.
Right. Because people was getting extorted. Dudes was getting extorted and assaulted behind their paperwork.
Yeah. A PSI in the feds is contraband. If they catch you with it, they gonna take it and write you up. You're gonna get a shot. Oh, and Juice, I ain't really trying to debate it, but I forgot to say this. With Meech being on a halfway house and technically still being in, if he do talk about a certain thing, he can get a write-up and he will have to revisit the DHO just like in jail and will go back to the hole to a county jail. Now, when he all the way off in the BOPK, like right now, if he piss dirty or he take his bracelet off, he's going to get a shot. He's not going to necessarily automatically get an escape, but he's going to get a shot. You know what a shot is. He's going to get a shot, and he got to go back to DHO, and they will send his ass back to jail if he do anything dumb. I got to defend him on that because the feds is a different monster.
Right.
And I ain't necessarily defending him. I just know a dude that was on house arrest. He had an eye problem. They had to answer the phone. He a dangerous dude, okay? And I don't mean that like I'm just telling you that. I mean on his paperwork, you know what I'm saying, Sean G, they said that he had violent charges. He had to answer a phone every 6 hours or 8 hours, okay? His eye problem didn't allow him to answer the phone, so they put him down for escape and they wrote him up, but they left the escape alone, but they gave him a shot and sent him back to prison for 6 months. Back to the prison that he came from. He from Washington, D.C. They sent him all the way back to Torrey Hut, Indiana for 6 months for missing the phone call. On house arrest. The same shit Meech on. Home confinement, whatever the proper term is. It's house arrest to me. Just like supervised release is parole to me. I don't give a fuck they talking about they got rid of parole. If you come home on a system of supervision that you violate, you go back to prison. In layman's terms, that's parole, bro. Violate that shit.
For real.
Violate that shit. I was on parole. I was on federal parole for 10 years, bro. I came home on a life sentence. They don't even get a sentence out no more. I'm like a dinosaur. But I caught the case so young that I'm my age and the dudes that had it don't exist no more. It's probably not even one other person in DC right now that's on parole with an elbow from a regular DC sentence. You get what I'm saying? Like they don't even get a sentence out no more.
What we on now? We through with Meech. Y'all got some more to say about Meech?
I gotta send. I got a question for the third party cooperation situation. I wanted to know how did the people approach? Like I know you said that your husband knew this and knew that, but how? I don't know if you answered this. How did they approach? Like once they found out what that was, they came and they said, hey, we got a loved one that need the services. Is that really how it go? Because that's how I imagine it.
So basically the inmates who were incarcerated were hearing about the service, and it was some kind of way it was going from facility to facility, even though he had a website up for it. they would call and say, hey, my family is going to call you. And it would pretty much go from there.
How would that process go? Would it go the way that I described, or would it go from whatever the information in the cooperation was to the U.S. attorney, and from the U.S. attorney to the 35B motion?
So basically, they would call in over the phone, and I wouldn't know if they had information until later on. Sometimes they would straight up just call you on the phone and say, hey, I got some information, and they'll tell you what DEA agent to talk to, or even what prosecutor to contact. Say, hey, this is the person you need to contact. They'll say, hey, last time they didn't want to work with me because I didn't want to get them such and such. I'm ready to cooperate now. Like, it was just like a whole bunch of stuff. But basically, contact the DEA agents, or sometimes just the prosecutor they was talking about. I mean, I've spoken to the prosecutors, attorneys, U.S. attorneys. So it just depends on the person. And basically from there, they want to know who's going to do this work on behalf of this person.
I got another question, and excuse me if you can't answer it. I don't know what the prerequisite is. I'm just going to ask the question. If you can't answer it, don't answer it. But did you get in trouble for this business?
Yes.
Without going into nothing, you can't go in just general. What are they saying that you did wrong in reference to this business if it's a practice that they allow in other places?
So what they told me, and this is exactly what they said, this is fraud, and we don't pay anybody to do this type of work. Basically, that's what they said, but I know otherwise because we had a set of informants that were female, and I would talk directly to the DEA agent who supervised them. Like you're saying, this Tammy Collins had somebody that she confided in. These ladies had somebody that they confided in and did work all over the U.S., some of the best work. And
all over the U.S., I
tell you their names because when I would talk to them, they already let me know that, hey, we don't give out our names. And when we contact our boss, we use numbers and stuff. So basically, that's how that stuff went there. But these were ladies that were traveling to do work.
And these people who needed these services, these inmates that we're calling them, they were in prisons all over the country and had cases all over the country, right?
Yes, it was anything from, they were calling in to report anything from drugs, murders, you name it, fraud. They knew somebody that was doing something and they wanted to give up information on it.
What would you say your success rate was?
It wasn't very successful. Like the success rate wasn't very successful, even though we were able to get approvals on these cases. The informants were not keeping in touch with the agents like they were supposed to and doing the work that they were supposed to do, like they said that they were doing.
Do you have a story of any one success?
I don't, but I mean, he told me of stories, but I don't know of any success stories other than inmates saying, yeah, he helped me out and stuff like that. And then
all right, I got
all the people that signed up were his friends, but they were all informants. So everybody was informants. And so when we talk about Big Meech and how everybody hold him up so high, my ex was one of those guys in the city of Houston that you could not tell anybody anything about him. They called him the king out there in Houston. If you came to Houston, he was right there. And so I remember it was a time where some guys that knew that he was an informant came down and said it was a big event at a club, and they started calling him out, telling the people that he was a rat and throwing stuff, and it was like getting real crazy. But the people in Club Dreams Houston got real crazy back. And they were basically like, this is the realest MF we ever met, the realest person we know. Y'all can't tell us S about him. And they had like all these police officers and bodyguards just swipe all the people out the club that were saying the stuff. Like it was nothing that you could say. So people are going to believe what they want to believe because if they think this is a real person, he's out here, he's doing this, this, and that. You can't tell us nothing about him. They're not going to believe it.
And now, so I know you said he was big like that in Houston, but just hypothetically for all of us, who don't think that Meech can't go to certain big cities and get that same love still?
He can. I mean, it's people that's gonna when I was telling Dogface, like it's unbelievable if you believe that you can get 200 phone calls in a day from facilities. They have their own phones, they're calling, they passing the phones around, everybody trying to get work done. Everybody want to get out of prison.
Is this still a thing? I mean, now y'all out of business, but all these people you saying was calling, they still like this still a thing?
I'm not sure, but I know at the height when we were in the mix of it, it was a thing. And I know I've looked it up online to see, because when we were operating, there were other third-party cooperation firms. You can look them up.
I was getting ready to ask you next.
It was multiple different people doing this, and now when you go to look it up, you don't see it anymore.
One more question. I mean, for what I'm trying to figure out, if you remember, what geographical area did most of these people that approach y'all come from?
I'm gonna say southern, like the South. And I'm gonna say north.
Okay. I feel you.
So what is it? What is it? The Fed say y'all did wrong to get y'all case? Was it y'all because y'all was accepting money from the inmates and getting money from the government? Was y'all getting money from the government too?
No, we didn't receive any money from the government. It was only basically from like the inmates who would pay or their families that would pay. And so the government basically said, oh, no, we don't do this type of stuff. We don't charge people for this type of work. Like, it was a whole bunch of stuff, things that I really didn't know. But they were telling me this, but I wasn't going for it because I was like, wait a minute. Like, this DEA agent that I was in contact with multiple times was telling me, hey, on that case, I'm going to get my girls to work this case, and they're going to get paid for this. So why are y'all saying that no, they don't get paid, but he's definitely telling me that, yeah, they get paid.
So that's a federal case. I can go look it up, right?
It was all federal.
Man, that's crazy.
Hey, Ms. Ball, it's pleasure to hear you speak. Are we talking anything more about Meech? Because if we ain't talking no more about Meech, I'm out of here.
Yeah, it's time for me to go through.
We can get back on Meech.
For me right now, I think, listening to you, because I was absent for the first interview that when you came up here, I was absent for that. But, when I was sitting back listening.
Appreciate you, Sean G, man. If you got to go, cut out, bro. We appreciate you stopping by.
All right. Appreciate you, Chris. Shout out to everybody. Peace. All right.
I think the thing that carried with me the most is the thing that it's majority females who are informants, correct?
I would say, but from where the information is coming from, it's the men. And I mean, right. Nobody else, because it could be your mama, it could be your sister, your brother, your cousin, your grandma. Like, it doesn't,
But a situation like this one with Meech, this is not uncommon. And when you were in business doing this wasn't an uncommon thing to have a female working for the inmate, feeding the information, it wasn't uncommon. What's being alleged? Let me say allegedly for the platform.
No, absolutely not.
That's crazy work. And if it was running rampant back then, imagine what it is now.
Call it nasty. Hey, they call it nasty work. It ain't crazy. It's nasty.
Now, you gotta find a different word for this because it's beyond nasty or diabolical.
What her and her husband was doing on the streets, they got the guys already in the federal joints in the penitentiaries with these rat hookups, teaching each other how to rat and how to go about it and try to hide their identity while they doing so. So this ain't the first time I heard it, but it's the first time I heard it in her case where they had started a corporation on the streets where they was getting paid and people was paying the rat. You feel me? So that's what really tripped me out. But I understand why they was paying. They was trying to pay for their freedom. They weren't paying to a rat. They was paying for their freedom, but they wanted the rat to secure their freedom. You feel me? The money wouldn't go get them out. It was what information they had valid to give.
Hold on, just we got this guy named with it. Mike Jackson. Mike Jackson say gossiping is a sin in Islam. I guess he knows that I'm a Muslim. Let me tell you what else is a sin. Y'all women cover y'all ears. Cover y'all ears. Cover y'all ears. This dick is a sin too, nigga. Fuck is you talking about? Fuck is you talking about, nigga? Shut your bitch ass up. And if you don't want to hear it, no, listening to niggas gossiping is a sin too, you bitch ass nigga. So if you don't want to hear what we got to say, carry your bitch ass on. Haul ass, you hoe ass nigga. Fuck is you talking about? You pussy ass nigga. Fuck is you talking about, bitch? Bitch ass. You lucky you ain't follow me. I'll block your bitch ass, boy. Bitch ass nigga.
I'm beginning to think they come over here just for you to say that.
They gotta be wanting abuse. They love abuse. They what you call that? Stockholm syndrome. They like I love abuse. I know it's Ramadan. He made me cuss. It ain't my fault. It ain't my fault. Allah knows my heart. Hey, listen. Do we have anything else to cover Is there anything else to talk about? I know, Khita, you have an interview in the next couple of days with Henny. I am going to be tuned in.
It's tomorrow. Okay, it's tomorrow.
What time tomorrow?
What do we say? It was 7 your time, 8 my time.
7:30
her time. So that would be 8:30 our time.
Right. Hey, DC.
So pull up to the bar because everybody loves Henny.
DC Black, what you want? You want to take us out? What you want to do?
Oh man, I don't know. I just started back reading the end of this case. I'm trying to figure out how this case on Meech got disposed of. But you know, I appreciate the love, man. I'm glad to be able to, man, politic with all y'all, share thoughts, man. And you know, I wouldn't take a book from Slim. So that's what I'm on. I'll catch y'all next time we do this, though.
Salute. Hey, listen, man. Thank y'all. We gone. I'm finna go grab me something. Is it? I done broke my fast anyway. Fucking with Juice and fucking with Henny and fucking with Khita.
I don't blame that on me because you called me and bothered me. Okay, I was minding my black.
I ain't broke mine yet.
See, you stronger than me, man. I ain't never the old savage, man. I ain't never the old savage ass nigga, man. I'm sorry, man. I love y'all. Peace out.
Peace out.
Y'all.